Hi, this is Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.
All right, and welcome to the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I am Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Michael Steves, the director of Klinger, which comes out October 23rd. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. And
Awesome.
and not just because you're here, but I really love this movie. I talked about it on the show, so if you don't believe me, you can go back and check out the archives and if you think I'm a liar.
I did. I listened to hear you guys talk about it. I
Awesome.
listened through the whole thing, and I was like, where's Klinger? And then when I heard you guys talking about it, I was very excited.
Excellent. The rest of it you could probably skip. It's probably just a bunch of nonsense, but that part was good, yeah. But for people who didn't hear that or don't know, you want to give everyone like an idea of what the movie's about?
So, Klinger is a horror comedy about a girl who has a clingy high school boyfriend. He dies in a very embarrassing accident and comes back from the dead as a ghost to kill her so they can be together forever. So, imagine your first love as a horror movie.
Yes. And it's very funny, it's very gory, and I always think like a comedy horror movie for it to work, because sometimes it's hard to pull off. I think like the horror aspect of it really has to work for it to come off well. Did you agree with
definitely.
that? Mm-hmm. So, and there's a lot of gore in the movie. And I think it's also fitting for Without Your Head, because there's a decapitation right to begin with, and I don't think that's a spoiler because it happens very early.
Yep. Yeah, there's a surprise decapitation right at the beginning.
Yeah, and it looks great.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the decapitation. That's probably what we spent the most time on, besides the demon teddy bears.
They're very cool as well. Now, who did the effects?
The effects were done by a fellow named Phil Nichols and his sister Melissa Nichols. They run a company called Facades FX. And one thing that's cool about them is the movie Klinger. It's kind of a tribute to 80s horror comedies like Gremlins and Reanimator and Evil Dead. And these guys actually worked on a lot of those horror movies from the 80s that relied on practical effects. Mm-hmm. And kind of those fun practical decapitations and things of that nature. So they're making those kind of movies that we were riffing off of.
Mm. Is those the kind of the movies that you enjoy, that you grew up watching?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge horror nut. My Netflix is pretty much all horror movies. Horror movies and anything gory, action, that sort of thing. But horror movies in particular, and the horror comedies of the 80s were the kind that I watched at sleepovers when I was growing up. So those are the movies that I'd watch with friends, at midnight, maybe when those first times when you're in high school and like getting drunk for the first time and you put on a horror movie on DVD or something like that. The ones that I grew up watching were movies like Return of the Living Dead, the From Beyond, the original Fright Night. Those are the ones that really inspired me.
Yeah, those are definitely some of my favorite ones. And this doesn't have to do with Klinger, but I just saw today that there's a Reanimator beer that's coming out. By
a Reanimator
beer,
really?
Yeah, by Narragansett, which is it's a New England beer, but it's Reanimator beer. So
a Reanimator beer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I'll have to try that.
Mm-hmm. Now, besides the '80s horror movies, what inspired the story for you? The idea of the Klinger. Is there any personal experience there?
Yes, there is. There definitely is. So the story for Klinger was, which is about this guy who's on the outside seems like a kind of nerdy kid with glasses that always wins the girl in a high school movie. But in this movie, he turns out to be the evil stalker guy who has to be vanquished. So when I was in college, I was in a theater accident. I was stabbed with a sword during a play. And it was a very gory accident. It pierced like right next to my heart, so blood everywhere. And while I was in the ambulance, I'm 18 years old, and I was going through my first breakup at the time. And my first thought, of course, being a dumb 18-year-old boy, was oh my God, I just got stabbed and almost died. This is totally the right time to text my high school ex and try to get sympathy points and win her back. And so in my head, this is like the glorious third act of my movie, and it didn't work out. And she was like very probably creeped out and just a little weirded out. And that kind of experience gave me the general idea to turn a story of first love into a horror comedy, because it's kind of gory and scary when you are going through it, and it's funny when you look back on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gave me the idea to make the kind of nerdy nice guy to turn him into a horror villain, and make the girl who's trying to move on to make her the kick-ass hero.
Mm-hmm. And I like that about it too, because that's something you don't really see in a movie. Usually, kind of nerdy guy is always going to be portrayed as the good guy, but he really does become the villain of the movie. Not to give too much away.
Yep, that's exactly what we were going for.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, how hard is it when you're making like a trailer to? I don't know how hands-on you are when you do the trailer, but you want people to see the movie, obviously, but you don't want to give away too much of the movie. So how do you go about making the trailer?
Well, to be totally honest, I didn't. The most recent trailer, I didn't have any hand in making.
Mm-hmm.
I just made the movie. So
did you yell at them, or were you happy with it?
Oh yeah, I thought the distributor made the most recent trailer, and as a Cyrus Entertainment, I thought they did an awesome job. It was definitely different than the original trailer we had, which was a little bit more played more to the horror and drama aspects. Theirs was definitely more on the comedy side, but I thought that played well into the movie's strengths. So yeah, I mean, so I've always found that in a trailer, you got to make sure that your movie has a trailer twist, like a twist that your trailer can give away.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also going to need some twists in the movie itself so that people can watch the trailer, feel like they got a twist, and then go to the movie and get a new one.
Yeah. You don't want to just see the entire... I remember, I think it was the new Carrie came out, and they basically told the whole movie in the trailer. It was like just a...
Yeah, you definitely see it, especially with a lot of studio movies where they really lay the whole thing out to make sure people go see it.
Yeah. Now, it's a great cast. Really, everyone's is perfect in their roles. And so how was the casting process like? Yeah, I mean, honestly, everyone was great in it.
That's great. Yeah. The cast was, I mean, for the most part, it was friends of me, Bubba, and Gabby, who were the co-writers, and very much it's a movie made by the three of us. So we cast a lot of our friends, and we cast a few actors from the area we shot in, which was our hometown, Houston, Texas. And so a bunch of locals. The lead actress, Jennifer, had been doing theater in Houston, and we've been working with her ever since. And then the lead guy is a dude named Vincent Martella, who's, if you have kids, you might have seen him a show called Phineas and Ferb, which is a really popular Disney Channel show. And he plays the voice of Phineas. He's also in Everybody Hates Chris. He's like the white best friend in that sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
So we went after him because we really wanted a guy with a squeaky clean image, like someone who was very Disney Channel associated and associated with wholesome comedy. And then kind of turn him into a murderer and make him evil.
Uh-huh.
And so we were looking for someone who had that kind of clean resume, dirty it up a little bit.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I don't have any kids, but I know Phineas and Ferb because one of our listeners is a huge fan. He's a grown man, but he's a huge fan of Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, it has a lot of. I'm a fan of the show. It's it's kind of a show that you can enjoy if you're a little kid or a stoner.
Uh-huh.
So it's wonderful if it's a lot like SpongeBob. It's kind of deliriously surreal. So it's a fun show to watch as an adult too.
Right. Now you have Lisa Wilcox in the movie we've had on the show, and I've done a lot of panels with her. She's awesome. And so, did you know her before the movie, or how did that?
Yes. So Lisa and Debbie, Lisa and Debbie Rashawn are two horror icons. I had obviously seen them in a ton of movies. Lisa especially in the Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5. Number 4 is one of my favorites. But we got in contact with them through our co-producer who knew them, a guy named Mel House. So he made some movies with them. And we just wanted to populate the screen with some of the horror icons that were in the movies that we grew up watching that influenced Klinger, and kind of to tip the hat to those great practical effects horror movies of the 80s and 90s. So it was a lot of fun to get two people that we'd grown up watching on screen.
Yeah. You mentioned practical effects a couple times. Is that something that's important to you, to use a lot of practical effects?
It was important in this movie. I think generally, yes, but it was especially important in this movie because we wanted it to have that feel of, a lot of those older horror movies, like from the 80s and early 90s, the effects are not always meant to purely terrify you. There's also kind of a fun aspect of when you're watching it. You can kind of feel the guys behind the screen with corn syrup playing with fake gore. There's kind of an element of fun to those practical effects that are so over the top, but still but you can see that everything's real. It's not, CGI kind of has this slightly colder feeling. And we wanted the movie to have a real sense of fun. So that was something that practical effects played into, because I've always found that they're so much more fun to watch than CGI.
I agree totally. Something, horror fans talk about a lot. We talk about a lot on the show, and it seems like they've really are starting to make a comeback lately. And I always attribute that to people like yourself who grew up watching that and want to incorporate that in their movies.
Yeah, I think Walking Dead has also played a big part in it, because I think Walking Dead and a few other movies recently have kind of shown that you can do practical effects both as kind of campy. You can make them fun and campy, or you can also make them totally realistic. So I think they're definitely making a comeback, also because people just feel so much more. You want to watch a screen and feel like people made this, not a computer made this. Yeah. And I think that's another thing that's really fun about practical effects, is you can feel the people behind the scenes making it.
Yeah, there's a certain, there's a weight that's not there for most of the CGI, unless it's done really well, but for the most part, you can tell, it's just not there. Even if you don't know why, it's your eye can tell that there's something not right.
Yeah, definitely. And especially for low-budget horror movies, practical effects are so much more fun because, a movie of Klinger's budget and, really any kind of lower budget, non-studio budget, they're not going to be able to afford great CGI. The CGI is not going to be perfect. So it's nice to have practical effects to rely on.
Yeah. Now, you said, having fun and everything, and you said, movies, a lot of people you knew beforehand. So how fun was it to make this movie with a bunch of people you know?
Oh, it was awesome. I would basically describe. So we were all very young when we made this movie. I'm still young, but we made this movie. The people that made this movie, including myself, were all in college or just graduated a month before. And there were even a bunch of high school students on our set. So it was a bunch of high school and college kids. We were all staying at my parents' house and the producer's parents' house. And we were just in Houston, Texas, basically kind of staying in a frat house. Uh-huh. And I would describe it as a 30-day long sleepover with no sleep and a lot of stress, but and a lot of sweat, because it was middle of summer in Houston, which was 110 degrees.
Yeah,
it was a blast. A stressful blast, but a blast.
Yeah. And now that it's out, and you finally get to see the finished project, and have you watched it with an audience, at any conventions or screenings?
Oh yeah. I've gotten to see it with a bunch of audiences. I try to go to the festivals that plays out when I can. So I've gotten to see it all over the place. Gotten to see it in Park City, in Texas, and in New York. The most fun one was seeing it in Spain. So which is cool because the Spanish audience actually did seem to laugh at pretty much everything. They got the jokes. Yeah. Which I wasn't sure if they would, get it, because I didn't know what would be lost in translation. But the only thing that was lost in translation was the puns. They didn't like the puns, but because they don't make any sense in Spanish. But yeah, it's been awesome. I always look back at the audience. I sometimes don't even watch the movie. I just watch the audience. So that's always fun to see people's faces especially at the gory scenes.
Yeah. Now the first time you watch it with an audience, is it nerve-wracking at all? Like hoping that people, like you say, laugh at the right parts, and react favorably to it.
Oh yeah, the first time the first time I was watching it with the audience, I was just slowly dying inside. It's the worst. The first time is the worst. The second time's great.
Mm-hmm. And it has been getting great reviews.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been doing pretty good, which was fun. It's especially the horror blogs seem to really have gotten what we were going for. And I think the fact that it has a relatable story has really helped. A lot of my favorite thing is in reviews when people talk about their own first love and their own first relationships. Because that shows me that we made something that struck a chord with people when they're able to watch this goofy horror movie and also talk about something that happened in real life that was impressionable to them.
Mm-hmm. I really like the retired ghost hunter in the movie, and I think I think in another movie maybe that wouldn't work because you'd think, oh, this person's really young, how they could be, but it worked perfectly here because that's kind of part of the joke. Is she's probably almost about the same age as the girl, but yet she's
yep.
has all these great experiences.
Yeah, we definitely. I think the movie kind of gets away with a lot of things that are a little bit eyebrow raising because we aim to make a deliriously silly movie and something that's just a ton of fun and goofy. So I think that lets us get away with things like this retired, hardened ghost hunter is totally 23 or 20,
right.
But in the world of the movie, she's bitter and hardened anyways.
That's just it really is perfect.
Yeah, thanks. And she's a really good actress too.
Yeah.
Alicia Monet. She the part was actually completely rewritten for her, and so we had a different role entirely. And then she came in and auditioned, and we wrote a part for her basically.
Mm-hmm. Now, was the Death Guide pamphlet? Was that kind of your nod to Beetlejuice?
Oh yeah, that definitely was. We had a few nods to Beetlejuice in there because I think it's a little bit of Clinger could be described as a little bit of a Tim Burton movie mixed with elements of more straight horror, but Beetlejuice is definitely a reference for us. So we certainly wanted to include some little nods to that.
Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of this movie, but what are you going to be doing? Now that this is out, what's your next project?
The next project, I think it'll be something that Without Your Head is excited about. It's a horror western.
Nice.
So we shot. I shot my second movie in January. It's a bigger movie, which is fun. It's a horror western called The Cold Descent. And it stars some genre favorites. It stars Tony Todd from Candyman,
nice.
Michael Eklund from Bates Motel, and Lance Henriksen,
awesome.
who plays Satan. So it's a pretty fun movie. It's about a group of outlaws in the Old West who are on a train to Atlanta that they discover is haunted. And these cutthroat outlaws have to survive a night of terror in the Old West.
That sounds great.
It's a fun project.
Yeah. And oddly enough, I interviewed Tony Todd just a couple years ago, and one thing he mentioned was growing up, watching movies and always wanted to be an actor, and his favorite genre growing up was Westerns, and he always wanted to ride a horse.
Yeah, Tony's a big Westerns guy. So that we had a lot of conversations about all types of Westerns. He's very much a cinephile. He really knows his stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was it was a great conversation because it wasn't. I'm sure a lot of people just want to talk about Candyman, but it's just talk about really his love for movies.
Yeah, and he's also he's most known for Candyman, but he's been in all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
That he really has been in all different genres. Horror's where he's the most known for. But yeah, he's been in all sorts of genres, and he has a love for lots of different genres, and he has a love for horror. He's not. He definitely embraces the horror and genre films that he's often known for.
Mm-hmm. And Lance Henriksen, also on the show, is a great interview. He's a very intense guy. Yeah. He's very approachable. It's a weird dichotomy there.
Yeah, he's. I didn't expect that. So Lance is definitely. I mean, he's like when you meet him, you're like, oh man, this guy's like tough as nails. Like he could beat the shit out of me if he wanted to.
Uh-huh.
You want a funny Lance Henriksen story?
Yeah, definitely.
So when I first met Lance, is on the set of this movie, and he shows up and he's like, hey kid, like you the director? And I was like, oh yeah, that's me, Lance Henriksen, guy I've seen in movies forever, and I'm very intimidated by. And he says, so I read the first draft of your script, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But I guess I'll show up. And then I read the new draft. And it's pretty good. And that was his introduction to me. I was like, oh my god, this guy is so intimidating. But he was a blast to work with, and super nice on set, and did a great job.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned that, being relatively young and directing, these people that you've seen in all these movies. Obviously, you don't want to act like, you're starstruck or anything. But what's it like to have to direct someone like that who has been in so many movies?
It's tough. It's not gonna lie, it's definitely tough. Because you have to be confident about what you want, knowing that I'm 24, so when I was directing Lance Henriksen, it's like this guy's 70 years old and been in so many of my favorite movies. It's hard to hide being starstruck sometimes. So it's definitely exciting. I mean, there's nothing cooler than getting to direct Tony and Michael Eklund, getting to direct these guys that I've seen for so long. There's nothing cooler than it, but it's definitely hard to, you have to know what to stick up for and to know when to listen to them, because at the end of the day, when you're working with actors that have been around for that long, they frankly do know more than you as the 24-year-old director. So you have to know when to listen to them, and then also when to stick up for your ideas. Mm-hmm. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah. You think that helps you grow as a director? Working with someone who's done so much.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. Especially because you see how professional they are, and you see you see what they do, because they know they're always so aware of where the camera is and how the movie's turning out. So you learn a lot from how they act on set. It really is. It's good to see and good to learn from as a director for sure.
Mm-hmm. And just real quick too about Lance, his book is great, and he says right in his book, always give it your all in whatever you're doing, and he seems to also like that. And
yeah, definitely, and he totally does that. Any movie you see him in, whether or not the movie's good, Lance is always awesome. And I think a lot of the big genre guys are like that. Tony's totally like that. Michael's totally like that. They're always the standouts in the movies they're in. Mm-hmm.
Now, you said you're always a horror movie fan, but are you was that your primary genre that you liked growing up?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it was my favorite genre just because horror can be so outrageous. Other genres have to try to be classy, and horror just doesn't give a shit. And I love that about horror, is that the goal isn't to be classy or to win Oscars. The goal is to just be as crazy and awesome and exciting as possible.
Yeah, entertaining.
So I've always loved that.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you prefer the more the entertaining, sillier ones, or do you also like some of the more darker horror movies?
Yeah, I like both equally. Especially more recently, I found that a lot of the recent horror movies I've liked have been a little bit more on the serious side. But I'd say I don't have I like both. And this, my second movie, this Western, it's definitely more on the darker. It's definitely like a darker, straight horror side. Mm-hmm. I like both. They both have different appeals, and I find both of them fun to watch. Even though the bleaker and darker ones kind of make you want to take a shower afterwards.
Great.
I find them both. I find both dark, bleak horror and silly horror a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It really depends what mood you're in too. But what are some of your recent horror movies that you really do like?
Oh, let's see. What were some? The one that I saw this year that I liked the best. It actually came out last year, but didn't hit. It didn't come to me until this year. But I loved The Guest. The Guest was my favorite one that I've seen this year. I just thought that was such a it was a movie that the whole time I was watching it, my jaw was just on the floor for how just badass it was. And so recent ones, The Guest was one of my favorites. I'm trying to think which other ones that I loved this year. Of course, It Follows and Babadook were wonderful. Everyone was really into those. I was also really into a more recent one that I just saw on Netflix was All Cheerleaders Die, Lucky McKee's most recent movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really cool one. I always like seeking out the ones that are a little different. So that's like the lower budget stuff. So those are a few of my favorites recently.
Yeah, I would just like to throw out there, We Are Still There, We Are Still Here, I think is excellent. So I think that comes out next Tuesday.
I did see We Are Still Here. Yeah, We Are Still Here is awesome.
Yeah, big fan. And not just because Barbara Crampton's coming on, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I honestly really like Klinger. And speaking of...
Thank you.
Yeah, and speaking of... you can have a fun, silly movie, then you could have a more serious movie. Where would you put Klinger in the ghost sex subgenre? Because you've got Klinger, and then you've got like the ghost rape movie Entity. And that might be the only two in
I really want
the
to see
genre.
Entity. I haven't gotten to see it yet.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I mean, I've heard it's awesome. Everyone's buzzing about it, but I need to see that one.
Yeah, it is great. And I had to put that in there because Annabella's not here tonight. Annabelle Lecter, my co-host. And we like Entity so much that one of our ratings on our rating system for movies is Ghost Rape.
That's pretty dope. That's awesome.
Right. So we're hoping someday we'll see on a poster 2 Ghost Rapes, Annabelle and Neil. But I don't know if we'll see that.
Okay. Looking out for it.
Exactly. So October 23rd, Klinger's coming out. And I've already seen it. I loved it. And I'm hoping everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, I hope your audience enjoys it too.
Yeah, and where can people find? Where can people find you, like online? Not like at your home. Don't give out your home address, but where can they find you on?
My home address.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm really bad at Twitter. I do have a Twitter. I don't really use it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
and
of Twitter
I've been getting a lot of shit for that. Everyone's telling me I need to use Twitter. But I'm on Facebook. But more importantly, it's probably Klinger the Movie. If you're interested, follow Klinger the Movie on Twitter at Klinger the Movie. And also Klinger on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And will you sue me if I start a crowdfunding for sexual harassment sock puppets?
No, I will not. You will have my support. I will throw my support wholeheartedly behind that crowdfunding platform.
I will expect at least $20 for Michael Steves.
Okay. Oh yeah. I'll even I'll bump it up to 30.
Whoa.
Get a whole $30.
All right. Now we're I'm keeping this segment right here, so I have proof.
Now we're in business.
Exactly. Well, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, and love to have you back sometime. Maybe when the Western comes out.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I will definitely let you know when that's out.
All right, unless you're too big to talk to us by then.
How you doing? This is Lance Hendrickson, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.